Hey, it's Johara. Welcome back to my channel. Um, so here's my wrap up. Sorry I haven't been filming for a while. It's just last month was. Anyway, so um, here's my wrap up for last month. Uh, my monthly vlog is not gonna come. I was having difficulties and I'm having trouble with my laptop now, so I am using my mom's. Um, and I probably won't do the monthly vlogs anymore this year. I might still do it this month and October because those are the two readathons I have planned. Um, but yeah, so so this is my wrap up for my reading and writing. Okay, so I'll start with my reading wrap up because I only read 3 books, but 2 of them are really thick, so that is why. Um, like really, really thick. So if you just care about my writing parts, I suggest you skip. And if you just care about my reading wrap up, then uh, just watch this part if you don't want to watch what I wrote about. But anyways, so um, read this. It is Seeker's Return to the Wild 2 in this arc, The Melting Sea, and I loved it, but I always love reading Seekers. I decided to save most. I decided to I had more on my TBR, but I decided to push most of them back because they were middle grade. And I decided to do middle grade May this month because I didn't know about it at first. But then I found out about it. I was like, I want to participate in that, especially since so many books I want to read right now are middle grade. But yeah, so um, reading Seekers is always fun. And in this book, they finally gets to the melting sea where Kalik was born. It takes them like half the book to get to the melting sea, but they're still on the ice. They're just not at the melting sea yet. It's like they're still where it's cold and stuff. But it takes half the book for them to get to the melting sea, and then Kalik's all afraid that she won't remember where she was born, that she won't be able to find it because she was just a cut up last time she was there. And she's so excited to find Takik and hope he's okay, hope that his journey to the melting sea was successful. And she knows the odds of finding him aren't really in her favor, but at the same time, she was still hopeful because the odds in finding him last time was even less, but she still managed. So she was a little hopeful. But when they do find him and get there and everything, it's not the reunion she hoped because Takik had gone back into the gang of bears he had found himself in when they were reunited the first time. Um, and she wasn't happy about that, not at all. Um, but Kalik was able to. Takik didn't want his sister to hate him. He didn't want her to. He didn't care what anyone really thought of him. He didn't care what the bears he was hanging out with, what Kalik's friends thought of him, what all the other bears on the Melting Sea thought of him. But when Kalik said she hated him and called him a murderer because they thought that they killed this one family, but they didn't. But Takik was like, I'm so sorry. I don't want you to think I'm a murderer or anything. And yeah, so they were able to um, they formed this little plan with. I love what they did. Like they knew that the bears were strong, and they had to outnumber them because they outnumbered Clique and her friends. So they gathered a bunch of these bears and taught them how to fight like a brown bear because and how to hunt on land when the ice melts during burnt sky, they'll have to be on land until the ice comes back. Um, but I just love but they decide to teach them how to fight like a brown bear so that the bears won't see any of the moves they come and they will have that advantage. But I just love how they banded everyone together and they all and they ended up winning. And then Kalik and I almost said Tokolo, no, Kalik and Yukon um, decided to continue going with Tokolo and Musa to help us, so that because Kalik was really worried, like she didn't know what was going to happen to them. She didn't know if they'd end up finding their home or anything, so they'd end up going with them until they found the home, and then they would return to the melting sea. Spoiler alert, they do not. I mean, Tokolo and Musa do find their home, but Kalik and Yukon decided to go, instead of going back to the melting sea, if I remember correctly, they go to crap, what's it called? Star Island. That's where Yukon is from. So they end up living there, because then they won't have to go to land at all during burn sky and all that. So it's better. But yeah, so that was this book. Then there's Goblet of Fire. Oh, a thick book. It's over 700 pages. I did start it last month, but there was like 2 weeks last month where I was sick. So no. Yeah, that was not last month, the month before that, right? Okay. I was about to say, wait a minute. Okay, I got all confused. I confused myself. The month I was supposed to read this, I got sick for like 2 weeks and I didn't do anything. Didn't read, didn't write. I was just laying in bed, watching TV all day, all night. So I finally finished it last month. And it's over 700 pages, so it's a thick one. But it's been a while since I've read the books. So I was so happy to finally read. I've been so happy rereading them because it's something I've been meaning to do for a while after I got the books. But yeah, I was procrastinating a little bit because the later ones are thick as heck. But yeah. But I enjoyed reading it as I always do, and I wouldn't say Goblet of Fire is my favorite though. I think it's a lot of people's favorite out of the books, at least, not the movies. But actually, no, I'd say it's between this or Prisoner of Azkaban that's most people's favorite. Neither one's my favorite. I like Prisoner of Azkaban more than Goblet of Fire though. I don't know. I always really enjoy Deathly Hollows, mostly because I love the big fight scene at the end, and there's just so many. I don't know. Well, Deathly Hallows Part 2 is definitely my favorite movie, no doubt. I know what my list is for movies. When I'm done with the books, I will make my list for the books, since it has been a hot minute since I've read the books. Um, but yeah, and this is definitely when the books get darker. Like, yeah, there is some dark elements to the third book because the Dementors and all that. That does make the book itself a little bit darker, and Azkaban and all that. So it's not as happy as the first two, but it's definitely not as dark as the later ones. Because there is still some happiness in that book, like besides the whole Azkaban and the mentors concept. So yeah. Um, but this book is when the series really starts to get darker. I was talking to a couple the people I buddy reading the series with, and we're all like, um, we were like the first three books are middle grade, but then this book and on it becomes YA. Because it was no longer middle grade. That's much I'm sure of. But but yeah, like the ending, for example, spoiler alert. When Cedric died, I teared up. I always do, but I feel like I cry a lot more during it in the movie. I just feel I don't know why. It's just in the movie how it's like when Harry first got there and he's crying and everyone's clapping and cheering at first until they slowly start to realize what the heck is going on. And then the part that I always cry at though is when Cedric's dad comes. He's like pushing his way through the crowd. He's like, "That's my boy! That's my boy!" And he's like, "Oh my god, I'm starting to tear up just thinking about it." Okay, I'm not gonna talk about this anymore because I don't want to cry today. That was not on my list of things to do today. um, but um, and then the twist that Moody wasn't actually Moody the entire time. That's such a good twist. Like that's something no one. I'm pretty sure no one could have seen that coming. I mean, when you find out, I mean, there's no way that you could have seen that coming. Like, first of all, they made you think that Barty Crouch Jr. is dead, so there's that. Um, and then you know, there's just there's just I don't see how anyone could have ever connected those dots so graceful. I was okay. I can't speak today. My brain's not functioning right. Great plot twist right there because that was good. But yeah, moving on. Here is Order of the Phoenix, which I read as well. It is over 800 pages. A lot of people say that Goblet of Fire is the biggest book, but it's not because this one is what 870, I think. Okay, work with me. This book doesn't want to work with me. Jeez, how many blank pages are at the end? Okay, 870. Yeah, 870 pages. So yeah, I'm curious how big Half-Blood Prince is. It's right over there, but do I have the energy to go over there and grab it? That's the question. I have to bring it closer anyways because I'm going to film my TBR afterwards. Okay. There. Okay, here it is. I don't think this is bigger than Order of Phoenix. No, there's no way it is. Maybe it's as big as Goblet of Fire. 652, so it's less than both of them. Now I'm curious how much Deathly Hallows is, but that one's all the way over there, and I'm not going to get that. Because I'm genuinely curious what's the biggest book now. Like, so far it's Order of the Phoenix, but I have no idea how big Deathly Hallows is. And with the final fight, that could make it bigger, but I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. Anyways, Order of Phoenix, I love the book, don't get me wrong, but it's probably the only Harry Potter book where I actually like the movie better. Don't get me wrong, there's bits and pieces of the movies that are better than the books. I'm gonna do a whole video on it, so I won't get too big into that right now. But like Neville's speech, the head on the night bus that's not even in the book at all. That was an amazing addition, and I absolutely love it. That's why I love the night bus scene so much because of the talking head, and the book doesn't even have it. There's Nagini's death that I prefer in the movie. The way Harry tricked Dobby into giving tricked Lucius into giving Dobby a sock. That was so much better in the movie, like so much. Like I can't even stress how better it was. But yeah, but this entire book, I follow a couple Harry Potter YouTubers, and this one guy, Movie Flame, you guys should follow him if you haven't already, if you're a big fan of Harry Potter. He doesn't just do Harry Potter, he does a few other fandoms, but he mostly does Harry Potter. He also does Percy Jackson, Avatar, and Legend of Korra. I've seen a few Hunger Games videos of his, but like I said, it's mostly Harry Potter. And he's been doing some Fantastic Beasts videos recently because of the new movie coming out, which I really want to see. But he did like a whole video essay for like every book, and I think a few of the movies. And I agree with a lot of the points he said about why the movie's better than the book, because he agrees. And I'm not gonna get into all of them. You guys should definitely watch this video. But the ones that really bugged me was first of all, Neville and Sirius's characters. Like their characters. Not just a specific scene, but their characters throughout the entire book. It's just done so much better in the movie. first of all, Neville is just a lot braver in the movie. You start to truly see the person he becomes in Deathly Hollows in here. You do in for both uh, Jenny and Neville. This is the book. Well, in the book, this is where Jenny starts to show just how amazing she is, like how powerful and all that. And I feel like the movies did pretty good with Jenny's character up until Half-Blood Prince. I feel like her character was great up until Half-Blood Prince. She's my favorite character, my favorite female character. Ron's my favorite male character, and yet those are the two characters the movie screwed the most. That's a little hurtful, but because in Half-Blood Prince, that's when Harry falls for Jenny, and they kind of just, I don't know. I feel like they just started treating Jenny as she's just Harry's love interest, and it's like she's so much more than just Harry's love interest. Um, but yeah, um, but anyways, like I was saying, first of all, up until near the end, when Sirius risked everything for Harry, um, the entire book he wanted everyone to feel sorry for him because he's stuck inside and he can't leave because he's still a wanted man, and he even kind of, I guess, made it seem like what Harry was going through wasn't as important because at least he's not stuck inside, unable to leave, and this and that. And so, what if he's a restless spirit? I mean, he was being very selfish, and in Goblet of Fire, he legit risked everything, risked getting caught in everything to make sure Harry was okay when he heard about what was going on at Hogwarts. Like, they completely changed his character, and the movie fixed it. And then, like, I love that Neville was the one that found the removal requirement instead of Dobby telling Harry about it. Um, and I love just these little small scenes with Neville, like leading up to the final fight, like him working really hard because Bellatrix escaped Azkaban, him finding out Bellatrix. I mean, it was just such a small scene. Like it showed people talking as the camera moved across people in the Great Hall, and then you see Neville just looking at a magazine. He puts it down, looking all upset and mad, and it's such a simple scene, but it shows Neville's issues, and I love how Neville was telling Harry about them. Like I know they cut out the whole hospital scene, and it would have been a great scene to see, like to see Neville's parents and to see his how he truly feels about all that, and it'll be fun to see Lockhart in that ward as well. Uh, but I understand why they had to cut it out, and I feel like adding that scene where Harry and Neville talks about it is just such a good scene to replace it because he makes a comment saying, "I am proud to be their son. I'm just not ready for everyone to know yet," and it's like it shows you how he's feeling with just a couple lines, and I feel like that was done brilliantly. But and then with his fight at the end, he just kept whimpering and stuff, and I love, and and in the movie he, like when Bellatrix held a wand to him, and he's like, or when Bellatrix first showed up and Harry had to hold him back from going after her, I felt like that was just such a good scene. And then when Bellatrix held a wand to Neville's head, and he still said don't, and she threatened to use the I'm not gonna be able to pronounce this, Cruci artist curse on Neville like she did to his parents. He still said, "Don't give them the prophecy, Harry." And I'm like this just shows a whole new side to Neville you didn't see in the other books. Like you're seeing him becoming the person he ends up becoming, and you see that journey. You see it more in the movie than you do in the books. But yeah, but what also really upset me is that the final fight, like it wasn't as good. They spent a lot of time just roaming around, looking at all these rooms. It's like we don't need to see all these rooms in the Ministry of Magic. Like this is not the time to do it. Like we're waiting for the final battle of this book. We don't want to see all these rooms in the ministry. We just want to see that battle. And I feel like the battle fell short a little bit too. Like all of them splitting up and stuff. The entire point of this fight was the fact that they are united, and I hated that they split up. In the movie, they stayed together. I like that line Harry said. She was like, everyone held out their wands, and Harry was like, "Get behind me. We'll stay together." And it's like, yes, that was perfect. And how they each a different Death Eater, like they all grabbed one of Harry's friends and all put a wand to them, waiting for Harry to give them the prophecy, and but they still stayed united. And then when the order came, they still stayed united. Like I love that. Like the entire point was the fact that they were united, and that is why they are stronger than Voldemort, because they are united. And then one of my favorite scenes, and then my favorite thing, Order of Phoenix is probably one of my favorite movies. I feel like that's very underrated, but I absolutely love that movie. But um, the final battle is my favorite scene, but the scene afterwards is my favorite as well, which is when Harry goes off to go to Bellatrix because she just killed Sirius, and then Voldemort comes. I also liked Dumbledore's entrance in the movie better than the book, um, because he didn't show up until Voldemort did, and I like that. I don't know why, but I did, because it's just the kids in the Order that's fighting the Death Eaters, and then Dumbledore comes to take out the biggest threat in that moment. Um, but Voldemort possesses Harry, and it's really hard for him to fight it. He sees all these flashes in his mind, but then all of a sudden his friends come in, and he looks at Ron and Hermione. They are who he looks to for his support, for his strength. I feel like that scene is just so beautiful, because the theme that J.K. Rowling was trying to put throughout the series is love. Like love is the biggest theme. Love is the reason why Harry survived that night, and love is the reason why he has survived every day since. And and it's just um and it's beautiful. And he looks to Ron and Hermione, and then memories flash through his mind of the two of them, and the three of them together. He saw like one of Sirius and one of his parents when he looked through the mirror of erase, but it was mostly of Ron and Hermione, because in the end they are his support, they are his strength, and I feel like that is so beautiful. Like one of the most important things about these 7 books is the fact that the three of them are best friends, and they will do anything for each other. And I absolutely loved it. And the entire conversation with Harry and Dumbledore afterwards, I felt like it was way too long. Like way too long. There was like an entire chapter just of their conversation about what happened, and Sirius' death was on Dumbledore. Like the movie summed that up with a few lines, and it was done a lot better. But yeah. But I know I just kind of spent 10 minutes trashing the book and praising the movie, but I do like the book. Don't get me wrong. I do like the book. I just feel like the movie did so many things better. I mean, I feel like every movie did something better than something that happened in the book. But I feel like for the most part, the books are better, except for those few scenes that I feel like the movies improved. But then there's Order of the Phoenix, that the movie just improved everything. So they did good on Order of Phoenix. That's why that's probably one of my favorite. That is one of my favorite movies. Like Deathly Hallows Part 2 is obviously unmatched, but Order of Phoenix is probably, it might be in the top 3 actually. And it wasn't always in the top 3, but now I think it might be. Like seriously, my feelings on Order of Phoenix movie just improved like 100%. But I mean, I always loved it, but I feel like it's now officially in the top 3. So yeah. But anyways, I went very ranty in this video. Ow! I just hit my nose. Okay, I'm done. I'm gonna go. I don't know. Oh, that hurts. Wow, that was smart of me. That was very smart of me. Um, but yeah. So this is ended up being a very, very long video. Oops. I still have to do my wrap up for my writing wrap up. Okay, here we go. Um, let's see. What am I looking for? I'm in the wrong one. Okay. So I didn't write too much. I feel like at the beginning of the month I did really good with my writing, but then it slowly just decreased until I wasn't really writing too much. Okay, so um, on the first 5 days of the month I worked on the Vicious Militants. On the first, I did 2,541 words. Second, 3,419. Third, 2,744. On the fourth, 373. On the fifth, 3,028. Ooh, that was my best month, my best day that month. No, it wasn't. The second was 3,419. Okay, never mind. And then the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, I worked on the Realm of Monsters. On the 6th, I did 1,412 words. 7th, 2,222. Yes, I did that. I did not mean to do that, but I find that funny. I don't know why I find it funny, but I do. The 8th, I did 951. The 9th, I did 777. I did it again. Okay. So, and then the 11th to 12th, I worked on the Vicious Militants. On the 11th, I did 1,046 words. On the 12th, I did 405 words. And then on the 12th, okay, so on the 12th again, because I worked on two different stories. I worked on both stories that day. On the 12th, I did the Realm of Monsters. I did 526 words. So I did over a, no, that wouldn't be over 1,000. My brain hurts, and I'm not going to do the math. Okay. On the 13th, I worked on Vicious Militants, and I did 102 words. Then on the 17th, I did The Witch's Assassin, which is the book I'm co-writing with Alyssa. I wrote, how much did I write? Where is it? Witch's Assassin. I wrote 1,580 words. Then on the 18th, and I worked on the Realm of Monsters, 1,372 words. On the 26th, I worked on the Realm of Monsters, 988 words. On the 27th, I worked on the Vicious Militants, 1,097 words. And then on the 28th, I worked on the Realm of Monsters, 216 words. So yeah, I plan on writing more this month. But I wasn't writing as much because I was trying to catch up on my reading, because at the beginning of this year and the end of last year, I was mostly working on my writing because I had like 2 stories that I wanted to get published real soon, and I did get them both published, and now these 2 stories and now none of my WOPs are ready for publication or even close to it. So once I get close to publication, I'll probably get really into my writing again. But yeah, I want to get my reading done a little bit more. But I still do plan on writing because I do want to get more books published. My goal this year was to publish 4 books, and I already published 2 because 2 of them were like already ready or almost ready by the end of last year. So, and the 2 books I'll probably end up publishing this year will, if I do end up being able to, be The Vicious Militants, which is the sequel series, which is the book 1 of the sequel series of The Curse of Light, which is published, and then The Realm of Monsters, which is a series all on its own, and it's going to be a trilogy. So yeah. But we'll see how that goes. But that is all for this video. Please like and subscribe and comment how your reading and or writing is going. And I'll chat with you guys in the comments. Until next time.